friends, welcome to ABN and the Trinity channel for the very first episode of Islam and the News. This is the world premiere that is happening now for the very first time. Of course, this is the first show that is going to be going every single Friday from 2:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, that would be 5:30 to 7 p.m. I'm sorry, that's Pacific time. The Eastern time would be to 7 p.m. And of course, regardless of where you are in the world right now, you can actually watch this show live through high-speed internet. It's also being broadcast live through satellite to the Middle East, North Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and other parts of the world. So it's a blessing to have you here for this first episode of Islam and the News. Now, if you've watched ABN and the Trinity channel for some time, you know that there are a lot of different shows with a lot of different topics that happen here on the Trinity channel. A lot of those shows are usually around the topics of religion, of course, of Islam, and apologetics, of course, and the apologetics marathons. So what sets Islam and the News apart from all the other shows that we do is that this is going to be focused more on the political scene and what is happening around the world. And there's another show coming up that will be on Mondays starting in January of 2017. That'll be called Colliding Worldviews. That will be more like the shows that you usually see during the Apologetics marathons, where we do different shows on different topics, and we have 3 Skype guests per show. That's beginning in January of 2017 on Monday nights. But again, Islam and the News is now a weekly show on Fridays from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time and 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Trinity channel. So it is a blessing to have you here for the very first show of Islam and the News. And unless you live under a rock, you know that the presidential election of 2016 is the story that is around the world right now on the news. Because even if you don't live in the United States, this election and who wins the election will impact your country, I would think. And a lot of people think that what happens in America, that goes out to the rest of the world. The financial system based on the U.S. dollar that is, again, here in America, that impacts the rest of the world. So this election has a huge impact on you, regardless of where you live in the world, whether you're in the United States or you're in the Middle East, or if you're on any other continent in the world. So the presidential election of 2016. As you know, as I know myself, a lot of people throughout the United States are wishing that they could have 2 other people to vote between than who they have. They have Hillary Rodham Clinton and Donald J. Trump. And months ago, those 2 didn't seem like the candidates who would have ultimately be chosen, but that's where we are now. And as I have told people, I'm still waiting personally for an election where we can vote for the greater of 2 goods. But I don't think that's going to happen here in the world where we live in a fallen world, in a sinful world. Every single election, we are able to vote for the lesser of 2 evils because we have 2 sinners to choose from. We have Hillary Clinton and we have Donald J. Trump. And neither one of them are perfect. And I'm sure all of you would agree that they have a lot of things in their past that it does not look good. And people keep pulling up all these different issues saying, this is why you shouldn't vote for them. This is why you shouldn't vote for her. So neither one of them are perfect, but these are the 2 people who we have. So we need to figure out which one of these candidates is going to be better for America. Because neither one of them are perfect, and neither one of them are going to make perfect decisions after they get elected. But looking at their background and what they support and their connections, that is going to help us know, hopefully, what they're going to do, or what each of them would do if they got into office. And today's November 4th, so we're only 4 days away from the election, although there are states throughout the U.S. that have already started early voting. And those early voting numbers are coming in. I have a number of news stories, as you can see here. That's what's going to, again, set this show apart, is that this is going to be a news program in addition to having Skype guests. We have 2 Skype guests scheduled for today, and they will be on in the second half hour and in the third half hour. But the early votes are coming in, and they're mainly looking towards the East Coast and what is happening, because in North Carolina, it's showing that there are leads, just like in Colorado. There's talking about what's going to happen in New Hampshire. They have all of these different key states that people are focused on, because if you look at the elections in the past, for the most part, there's a lot of states where they almost always end up voting Republican or almost always end up voting Democrat. But there are what are known as swing states, where depending on the candidate and depending, of course, on how many people vote, that state turns to that red color or to the blue color, letting you know this is what this state has decided. But at the same time, it's not just the popular vote that matters. It's also the Electoral College. If you've never heard of the Electoral College, then I would suggest you look that up online, because even if there are many popular votes in a particular state, and a particular state chooses, say, Trump or chooses Hillary, it's the Electoral College which really matters in the end. And there's only, I believe, a couple of hundred Electoral College votes. I don't know the exact number on that, but obviously it's way less than the amount of Americans around the world who can vote for either Hillary or Trump. So, as you know, there has been a lot of negativity in the media from not for Hillary and for Trump as well. Although Hillary is the one who has had this email scandal open up over the last couple of months, and now it has been reopened. If you haven't seen that yet, that has been reopened, and it has been said that Hillary Clinton's right-hand woman, Huma Abedin, took the stage at the center of this email scandal, with the announcement Friday afternoon that the FBI was reopening their investigation into the Hillary Clinton email scandal. Clinton's assistant, Huma Abedin, may face close scrutiny for the first time by the media, and that is from Breitbart.com. Now, if you have never heard of Huma Abedin, I would suggest that you look her up. All of a sudden now, just over the last week or so, she is in the spotlight. But if you go to my Facebook page, I believe it was October 22nd, I posted a video called The Muslim Brotherhood: Origin, Identity, and Agenda. And in that, I covered from the time of Muhammad all the way up till now. And of course, the Muslim Brotherhood's agenda for the future. So I cover a lot of ground in that, because I have a historical timeline that I follow. But I do talk about Huma Abedin in that video. I think it was about 5-6 days later that all of a sudden this breaking news story came out saying that she's the center of this reopening of the email scandal. I put it on my Facebook page. Hey, if you saw that video that I did on the Muslim Brotherhood, this breaking news story will be no surprise. But people have said, why hasn't she been scrutinized sooner? From Family Security Matters, FBI notes reveal security concerns over Huma Abedin. And witnesses say the Clinton aide, Abedin, overrode security protocols, hoarded classified information at home. Listen to this. Protective detail assigned to guard former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and her 2 residences complained that her closest aide, Huma Abedin, often overrode standard security protocols during trips to the Middle East and personally changed procedures for handling classified information, including highly sensitive intelligence briefs the CIA prepared for the president. Newly released FBI documents reveal. The security agents who were interviewed as witnesses in the FBI's investigation of Clinton's use of an unauthorized private email server to send classified information complained that Abedin had unusual sway over security policies during Clinton's 2009 to 2013 tenure at Foggy Bottom. So they also have Security Matters why Huma wasn't investigated 4 years ago. They said that this is because no inquiry was conducted after Republican John McCain denounced Mrs. Bachmann in the U.S. Senate. If you remember that, it was quite a while back that that Republican John McCain said, no, don't worry about it. And I had a friend on Facebook say, hey, when I posted something about Huma Abedin and the Muslim Brotherhood and Hillary Clinton, he was, putting it aside, saying, oh no, that's been debunked. And I told him, no, it hasn't. Look at all these different news stories that confirm it. And here's one more from FamilySecurityMatters.org that it was denounced, or it was shied away from after John McCain, who's obviously a well-known person, denounced Mrs. Bachmann in the U.S. Senate. So we see at the same time that the vice president candidate also, of course, will be playing a huge role in who votes for whom in this election. Of course, if Hillary Clinton gets in, then she will have Tim Kaine. If Donald Trump gets in, he will have Mike Pence. And I believe that a lot of Christians out there are voting for Trump simply if they don't like Trump whatsoever. They are voting for him because they know that if they get Trump, they get Mike Pence along with him. And there are people saying, hey, I wish that Trump and Pence had switched places. It would be much better if Pence was the presidential candidate and Trump was the vice president. But a lot of people are needing to do exactly that. They're needing to keep the vice president in mind, because if something were to happen to Trump or to Hillary, whichever one who got into the White House, remember, something happens to the president and the vice president takes power. So you don't have to just look at Hillary and Trump, but you need to look at Tim Kaine and Mike Pence and which one of them would be a better leader for America if something, God forbid, were to happen to either presidential candidate if they got into office. We also see, too, from IslamistWatch.org that this was back on August 16th of 2016, that Americans should be worried about Islamist donors supporting Tim Kaine. And if you look on online, if you look on my Facebook page as well, or on a Twitter account, you will see a link to Breitbart.com, who also had mentioned that Tim Kaine does have Islamist ties. But the Barnabas Fund asked, is Hillary Clinton's aid a serious threat to freedom of religion? It says freedom of religion was central to the emergence of the USA as an independent country. Even today, the annual report of U.S. State Department's Commission on International Religious Freedom is a standard work of reference for governments around the world. Huma Abedin, who co-chairs Hillary Clinton's presidential elected campaign, is widely tipped to become White House Chief of Staff, or possibly even Secretary of State if Clinton wins the presidency. And as you know right now, who's in the spotlight? It's mainly Huma Abedin, even more, of course, than Hillary, even though Hillary is running for office. All this stuff is coming to light right now, and it's a very interesting time for that to happen because, again, we're 4 days away from this election, and I can't help but to think that all of these news stories are going to affect that. There are people out there, of course, who have planned to vote for Hillary. I don't know. I'd like to tell you this. Every presidential election in the past, I have talked with people, and they say, okay, I'm voting for Republican, I'm voting for Democrat, but I heard at least that people I knew were voting for either candidate. I don't know anyone who has actually told me that they are voting for Hillary. Most people who I've talked with said, well, I'm just not going to vote at all because I don't like either of these candidates. Or they've said, well, I'm voting for somebody, but I'm doing that to vote against Hillary because they'd rather have anyone but Hillary in the White House. So I know, though, that the stories that we're seeing are going to sway people. People were thinking about voting for Hillary. I wouldn't be surprised if these news stories that are out now, this reopening of the email investigation, cause people to say, well, no, yes, Trump has some bad stuff in his past, but we can't trust Hillary with her clearance, her security clearances that she currently has. Look what's happening. Look at what's happened behind the scenes. This is just breaking news for us, but obviously these things have been going on. It's just now that we're hearing about this stuff. So we've read as well that Hillary's top aide, Huma Abedin, has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. Again, this is a fact that has been declared many times online by many different news sites. And again, in my video on the Muslim Brotherhood, you will see quite a few minutes of that information as well. But a lot of people dismiss this. They haven't realized that Huma Abedin's mother in Saudi Arabia is a professor there, and that she is part of the Muslim Sisterhood, the Muslim Brotherhood's women's division. Huma Abedin's brother also has multiple Islamist ties, and her father did as well. So is there a chance that that has nothing to do with Huma whatsoever, that she doesn't, carry over on to her? Yes, that is possible, but it doesn't look plausible because we have seen all the stuff that has been going on. And we need to realize, too, that this election is going to impact the world not only immediately off the bat, but, of course, after Hillary gets into office or Trump gets into office. This is a four-year deal. It's not just a 1-month presidency. So that is why it's so important for us to choose wisely, because this person is going to lead America down the right road or the wrong road for the next 4 years. Now, some people believe that Trump is a Christian. I think that he's probably nominal at best. Lord willing, he will repent and put his trust in Jesus Christ. Only God and Trump know that. But we know people by their fruit, and we know Hillary by her fruit as well. But we figure, okay, again, you have to look at the vice president, because Mike Pence definitely sounds like a born-again evangelical Christian who would make many Christians proud to be in the White House as the vice president. And we know that Trump is kind of a wild card, that he's kind of a bull in a china shop at times. But we also heard that he has a lot of good people on his team who he listens to. And with Hillary, we don't hear as much about her team, but we do hear, like I said, a lot about her closest aide, who has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, her vice presidential nominee, Tim Kaine, who has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. And you'll see on my Facebook page as well, and in that video that I did of the Muslim Brotherhood, that it has been reported that Saudi Arabia has funded about 20% of Hillary's presidential campaign. Saudi Arabia definitely would not want Trump to get into office, and a lot of people out there, money talks. And we know that Trump, being a billionaire, isn't dependent on money from other people to do what they want. He's not going to do people's bidding in order to get a bunch of money or anything like that. So I don't believe that Trump could be bought like other people could. But that is yet to be seen. But we have to look, too, to what is the rest of the world thinking about this. Because, like I said, this election impacts the rest of the world. So we have China's Monkey King, an actual monkey in China here, as you can see. China's Monkey King picks Trump as the next U.S. president. We have in Latin America, Clinton's top global support is Latin America, 86% in Mexico. Mexico, 86%, Colombia, 82%, Chile, 82%, Argentina, 74%, and Brazil, 69%. So we can read what the rest of the world is thinking about this election and how it's going to impact them. Of course, if countries think that a particular candidate is going to help them or hurt them as a country, they're going to be backing that person. We have illegal immigrants from FoxNews.com, illegal immigrants surging to U.S.-Mexico border and race against Election Day. I guess U.S. Border Patrol has been saying that they are overwhelmed with people from Mexico just flooded, trying to get into America in fear about, I guess, this wall that Trump is talking about building and having Mexico pay for. They believe, I guess, that it's going to be a lot harder to get into America if Trump is elected. So while much of Latin America is voting for Hillary or hoping that Hillary gets in, we can see here that many people are storming the U.S.-Mexico border just in case that he does get in, not knowing if what he is planning to do will actually take place or not. We have the ex-British Army chief, Lord Richards, endorses Donald Trump for the White House and claims he can make the world a safer place. This is from dailymail.co.uk. So the ex-British Army chief thinks that Trump would be better than Hillary. He says the biggest threats to security were from terror groups like ISIS. And Richards praised Trump's instinct to work with leaders such as Putin. And we've also heard Trump say himself that he is not a friend of Putin. He doesn't know Putin personally, but he is willing to work with Putin and other world leaders who want to take out ISIS. We know that ISIS has been a problem for quite some time now. So we are going to be taking a short break soon. We're going to be bringing on our first Skype guest on here. Of course, we're going to have continued news stories to cover. But what else do we have here? We have a lot of stuff. And we're going to see if this is the best way to do it, or if in the future I should just have it all on my laptop, because we may have to start a paper and ink fund with all these news stories that I'm printing out. But I'm trying to get you a lot of information, because you may live in a country where you don't get access to certain news sites, but you get this television show. So this may be your new favorite news source, your favorite news channel that you can turn to, because I'm going to have news stories from all over, trying to be unbiased as much as I can. As a follower of Christ, I'm going to try to be as unbiased as I can and just tell the news. And of course, when we have our Skype guests on, they will be very informative as well. On jihadwatch.org, Robert Spencer and PJ Media asked, feel safe? Here are 3 times Hillary apparently took bribes from terror funders. So again, news stories like this, again, this is from jihadwatch.org, news stories like this are really making a lot of people, I think, either not vote who were going to vote for Hillary, or all of a sudden vote for Trump. Because if you look at what they stand for, I have a picture on my Facebook page of a lot of the main issues that people look to with presidential candidates. I have a picture of Hillary, a picture of Trump, and it shows their positions on different things, from gun control to abortion to terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda and so on. So a lot of news stories like that from Robert Spencer, who we know is a great resource in the area of Islam and what is happening around the world. Now, there's been a push for a lot of people to vote during this election. There's been a push from Islamic leaders for Muslims to get out there and vote. There's been a push just from non-Muslims for young people to get out there and vote, because a lot of the people out there who do vote religiously every single time there's an election is mainly an older crowd. So we have to encourage the younger generations to vote, and because they're the next leaders of America. They're the next leaders of America. They're, of course, the upcoming voters of America. And their votes are going to determine what America is like in the years to come. So the FBI of here, silverdoctors.com, it says, thank you, FBI. The Clinton email investigation has shifted the poll numbers significantly in Trump's favor. We were hearing a while back, at least in the mainstream media, or some people call it the lame-stream media, because many people think that they are bought and paid for by people, and they're not independent news organizations like they once were. There's much fewer news organizations out today than there were 20 years ago. So ask here, if those mainstream media have basically been pushing for Hillary, and saying, okay, Hillary is leading the numbers, even though if you look to pictures of different rallies and speaking events that are happening with the presidential candidates, I've seen many pictures online where Trump is like filling stadiums, filling arenas, and Hillary has very small crowds. So just now, I think because of this new email investigation, the reopening of the investigation by the FBI, that is turning people to Trump even more. So, another news story, you may not have seen this, this actually just came out today. This is from RT, RussiaToday.com. This is treason. Clinton's email server reportedly exposed to hackers of 5 spy agencies. As Election Day draws near, accusations against both U.S. presidential candidates are becoming more and more brutal. With Fox News reporting, the FBI believes up to 5 foreign intelligence agencies managed to hack into Hillary Clinton's private email server. So this is going to cause her to get even more scrutiny for that. And it says here that there's about a 99% chance that the server used by then Secretary of State Clinton for work communications in violation of security protocols was compromised. So we are seeing a lot of bad news when it comes to top secret information. And obviously it was a very bad move. Clinton says herself that it was a bad decision that she made in using this private server and the other things that she did. But a lot of people, of course, especially voters, I don't think that's enough for them. They're thinking, well, in the position that you were in, you should have known ahead of time that yes, that wasn't a good idea, and you should have known that well enough to not even do it in the first place. So hindsight's 2020. We can always say, hey, I made a mistake, but people in particular positions of power, you would think should have more common sense and foresight to where they wouldn't have to rely on hindsight, thinking, okay, that was a bad mistake. But some people are saying, this is from theguardian.com, that the FBI is Trump land. Anti-Clinton atmosphere spurred, leaking sources say. So, current and former FBI officials, none of whom were willing or clear to speak on the record, have described the chaotic internal climate that resulted from outrage over Director James Comey's July decision not to recommend an indictment over Hillary Clinton's maintenance of a private email server on which classified information transited. The FBI is Trump land, said one current agent. This atmosphere raises major questions about how Comey and the Bureau is slated to run for the next 7 years and how they can work with Clinton should she win the White House. So obviously, these recent events have caused them to reopen it. And, they're saying that, obviously, it says the FBI are huge fans of Trump. They're pushing for Trump, which, of course, they have their opinion just like everybody else does. There are entire nations who are saying that they're hoping that Hillary gets in. So another one, too, by thehill.com, agent FBI is Trumplandia. And this was actually picked up by Zero Hedge. And Zero Hedge had posted it as FBI agents say Hillary is the Antichrist personified. So strong words there from Zero Hedge. And again, they're saying that FBI, or obviously it says here, Trump's fans or fans of Trump. But, obviously they can't just say, well, we like Trump, so we're going to reopen this investigation or anything like that. I mean, they would not open it up if they didn't have reason to. And of course, we're already seeing those reasons. A lot of spotlights on Huma Abedin now, and what decisions she has made with them. So at this time, we do have to take a break, but we will be back shortly with our first Skype guest of this show. And again, this is a new weekly show that's happening every single Friday, so we are blessed to have you here with us for the very first episode, the world premiere of Islam and the News. So please stay tuned right where you are, because we will be back in just a few minutes for the second segment of this show, Islam and the News. We will see you soon.
Praise the Lord, North Carolina. I'm your native son, Pastor Joseph here, inviting you to watch the one TV channel they don't want you to know about, the Trinity channel, channel 14.6 WHKY on digital antenna. Finally, the truth about ISIS, terrorism, and the religion of Islam from a biblical Christian perspective. You'll find no political correctness here, just the truth, plain and simple. Scholars, Christian apologists, and former Muslims from around the world all exposing the religion of Islam as the root of so much of the chaos we find our world in today, while at the same time proclaiming Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace, as the one and only solution. If you can't get channel 14.6, don't worry. You can watch us live 24/7 at www.trinitychannel.com. Remember the Trinity channel, the voice of truth, crying out in a desert of political correctness.
ABN and Trinity Channel is increasing exponentially both in the number of apologists and the quality of the shows, in terms of the debates and the launching of the new shows that involve politics, Islam, science and creation, prayer, and world religions and heresies. We need your help in supporting this unique channel. The only way for ABN and Trinity Channel to continue our mission in spreading the Word of God and exposing false religions globally and internationally is with your help and support. To send your support and donations, please call the numbers at your screen or visit our website at trinitychannel.com. Get ready for a new weekly show and series coming this November. One of the new shows that we will have is an English prayer show with Pastor Earl Thurner and Asad Faraj. Tune in Thursday, November 10th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for more information, call the numbers at your screen or visit our website at www.trinitychannel.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the world premiere of Islam and the News. We have a little bit of delay this first episode, because we are still working on some technical difficulties that we have had, but we are hoping to have those completely smoothed out by the next show next Friday. And again, if this is the first segment that you are joining, this is actually segment 2, 90-minute show every single Friday from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time and 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Islam and the News every single Friday. You can watch it right here on the Trinity channel. But you can also watch it through satellite. It's going through satellite to the Middle East, North Africa, Australia, New Zealand. It's going now through regular bunny ear antenna to about a 22 million population in the Northeast. So if you live in North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, and all Michigan and all those areas up there, you can watch this live through basic antenna. But of course, anywhere in the world, you can watch this live online through high-speed internet. As you have seen in the past, I've done a lot of shows during the International Apologetics Marathons, and I've had people message me on Facebook from Indonesia, in Malaysia, in South Wales, Australia, thanking us for the shows, because whether they are not, if they're not getting the broadcast satellite, they're actually being able to watch it through high-speed internet. So there is no other network out there that you can turn to watch apologetics marathons, and there's no other network out there where you can watch all of the new weekly shows that are happening now. Pastor Joseph has a show on Tuesday night, The Cross and the Crescent. This, of course, is happening on Fridays, Islam in the News. January 2014, we have Colliding Worldviews on Mondays. We have a new prayer show on Thursdays. So we're going to keep you updated, because also another thing that's happening is, on Wednesdays in 2017 is Ratio Christi Television. So there's going to be weekly shows throughout the week. You're going to be able to watch a lot of different shows on different topics, and the apologetic marathons are going to continue as well. Now, at this time, I hope he's ready. We have our first Skype guest on the line, and if you can hear me, Joe, let me know if you can hear me. This is Joe Carey from RadicalTruth.net. Joe, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, Tony. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, brother. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, good to be back on the show with you, man. Love the new studio setup. So.
Yeah. Everything is like I said a few minutes ago. A few technical difficulties. I am not able to see the live feed yet. So anyway, we're gonna get that fixed, and we're also working on an audio issue. So we're hoping that the next show audio is perfect. So we have a week to work on it before we see you again next Friday. But it is a blessing to have Brother Joe Carey here with me. Joe and I have done a number of shows on ABN's Trinity channel before. He and I were just in the studio in September doing an apologetics marathon. And if you have not checked out his website, please go to radicaltruth.net, because he has a bunch of information there. And Joe's been reaching Muslims with the gospel for over 10 years now. So he's doing this full time, and I encourage you to not only support ABN and the Trinity channel, but to also support Joe and his work that he does at radicaltruth.net. Now, Joe, you were on a show here recently with Brother CL in Darwin, and you know that this presidential election kind of seems to be like no other in the amount of rhetoric that is going around about it. I'm not sure. Did you get to see the first half hour of the show?
I didn't see all of it. I tuned in rather late. I had my time signals off. To be honest with you, I was messed up on the time zone thing again. So my fault.
Okay, no problem at all. No problem at all. I'm continuing on with news stories here. We're hoping that for many people around the world who do not have access to certain websites, this can be their new go-to news source, because I'm going to be covering news from all different websites and sources out there. But Joe, did you hear that this came out today, published by RT.com? Julian Assange, he's the guy who's kind of the main guy of this whole WikiLeaks thing of exposing the emails that Hillary had that were picked up by whoever. It says, Assange says Clinton and ISIS funded by same money. Trump won't be allowed to win.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that story particularly, but I have reason to believe it's true. I've been doing some studies along the same line. I don't know if you're aware of the video that Anonymous released about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, talking about how Hillary has connections to the Muslim Brotherhood, and a significant portion of her campaign slush fund came from Saudi Arabia. Yeah. And they've documented that pretty well. Now it's been by the leftist media tried to poo-poo down. Oh, that's not right. It's just nothing more than hysteria. But I've been doing some other research to try to find out if those facts are true, and in fact they are true.
Yeah, and that is not helping Hillary whatsoever in this campaign. I have a news story here from toprightnews.com. FBI sources, indictment in Hillary investigation is likely. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 4 days. It says things just went from bad to much worse for Hillary Clinton as the Federal Bureau of Investigation expands its investigation of the corrupt Clinton Foundation. Now, Joe, I don't know your thoughts, but to me, it's looking. It seems like things are looking so bad for Hillary. It isn't. I don't even know if she can win a rigged election at this point.
Well, not only that, Tony, but if she does win the election, people are already talking about it. It'll be shortly after she's sworn into office that she'll be called into Congress for impeachment proceedings. So, where do you go with that?
I guess what they would do is they'd probably turn. I guess they'd have to turn to Tim Kaine as the new president, right?
And that would be pretty scary.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier. I mentioned earlier that a Breitbart put out a while back that Tim Kaine has Islamist ties as well. So, and like you said, when I posted my video on the Muslim Brotherhood, that's on my video channel and also is viewable on my Facebook page. Like I said, I covered from the time of Muhammad all the way up till now, and I talk about the Muslim Brotherhood and how it came about. I talk about Hassan al-Banna, Said Qutb, and all them. And I move into the agenda today. There's actually a book, Joe. I don't know if you have this. I know you. you and I, we're competing in our libraries. There's this book called The Methodology of Dawah that was published in 1989. I talk about it in my video on the Muslim Brotherhood. And that has the Muslim Brotherhood's entire game plan for America. And it seems that if you look to Hillary and Huma Abedin and Tim Kaine, they would kind of continue that agenda as it's been going so far.
Right, exactly, and I'm glad you brought up Huma Abedin. I want to talk about that, but first, did you see the other story that was released today? Came out 12:52 p.m. Eastern time today, where speaking about Islam in the news and how Islam is being related to the election. Intelligence sources, U.S. intel warning of possible al-Qaeda attacks in U.S. on Monday, and they're talking about specific states, New York, Texas, and Virginia, with the intent of disrupting the election. Now, this is rather interesting, given the rumors have been circulating around the internet for months now that something would happen come election time to where the election would have to be called off and President Obama would have to remain in office. What do you think of that?
It kind of sounds like perfect timing in a bad way. I did see that here. I have here from CBSNews.com sources: U.S. intel warning of possible al-Qaeda attacks in U.S. Monday. Now, Joe, right. I thought it was interesting that it says al-Qaeda. Why doesn't it say ISIS?
Well, good question. I don't know. We know that ISIS has been trying to get operatives into the United States. It's also well known among the counterterrorism task force friends, and I have friends that work with the counterterrorism task force, that al-Qaeda already has cells planted throughout the United States. And it seems that ISIS and al-Qaeda are competing with each other to find out who's going to be dominant in the Muslim world. And this may be a perfect opportunity for al-Qaeda to kind of take the lead.
It seems interesting too that think of it this way: if all of a sudden they said U.S. intel warning of possible ISIS attacks in U.S. Monday, they would be admitting that ISIS is here in America. And right. We have heard many times that ISIS has said that they are planning to use the refugee crisis. They'll infiltrate the groups of refugees in order to get into America. So it's right. Interesting how it says al-Qaeda in U.S. on Monday. So I don't know. Yeah, think about that, folks. It's saying al-Qaeda rather than ISIS. But so interesting news title. And also, too, jihadwatch.org, and Robert Spencer, he said U.S. intelligence warns that al-Qaeda could be planning jihadist massacres in 3 states for Monday. Now, yeah, it just seems like too perfect timing on all of this, because as we know, the election is coming up soon, and I've heard from news sources out there, there are tons of people out there who do not want Hillary in power. Do not want Trump in power, and a lot of those people are very wealthy people, a lot of powerful people, and they are willing to do, unfortunately, whatever it takes to not let Trump get in. So I had heard too that if it looked like Trump may win this thing, all of a sudden that news story comes out, and that's the kind of thing that I heard, that they do not want her to get in. So interesting stuff. Now, Joe, I'm not sure if you saw this one. NBCNews.com exclusive: White House readies to fight Election Day cyber mayhem. So it looks like even if there is no terrorist attack, they're also saying that there's going to be problems as far as the electrical voting machines that they're using. And listen to this from naturalnews.com and from Organic Prepper, the organicprepper.ca. It says, we're all going to lose on November 8th with this post-election chaos, because they say no matter who gets elected, we're in trouble. Listen to this. Urgent preparedness items you'll need when Trump wins the election next Tuesday. So they actually have a list here. This is from naturalnews.com, a list of things that you need to be prepared if Trump wins. But then they're saying that if Hillary wins, there's going to be chaos as well. So now we got this combination of possible problems with the voting machines, We got Al Qaeda or other terrorist groups saying that they may attack the U.S. And then we got Natural News and the Organic Prepper coming out saying, well, whether Hillary wins or Trump wins, there's going to be some chaos. So you, regardless of where you are in the U.S. or maybe perhaps the world, there's going to be some negative fallout from this. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was just talking with my wife about that yesterday and even today about, what we might possibly want to do this weekend to prepare for possible violence Tuesday evening after the election results start rolling in. I got to tell you, Tony, I have been in third world countries during election season. I was in Nigeria in 2007 when there was an election going on. And it seems to me like the United States is devolving down into third world status when it comes to our political system. Violence breaks out very commonly. People are killed. When I was in Nigeria, the vote came in early afternoon. I was stuck in Jos. I was trying to get on a 3:30 flight. They had to cancel the flight because there was a travel prohibition instituted by the government because they anticipated violence. They lifted the travel prohibition. I was able to get to the airport, and we flew out of Jos, Nigeria, back to Lagos just in time, just as violence was breaking out in Jos, and 500 people were killed that night over disputes about who should have won the election. It seems to me like the United States is following in the same footsteps, and our administration has drug us down to the lowest level possible on the world scene. We're laughing stocks on the world scene now. We're no longer a respectable nation.
Wow. And when you're talking about those elections, you're talking about elections in that particular country, or this was in response to U.S. elections?
That was in Nigeria, but in response to U.S. elections, it seems like we're headed that way. If the rumors pan out, what you were just talking about, that we can expect violence on Tuesday night after the election, regardless of whether Hillary wins or Trump wins, what does that say about the United States?
Yeah. Well, Joe, I'm sure you and I both, we're both praying that is not the case. We're hoping that Americans can be civilized in, what happens after this election. A lot of people aren't going to be happy if Trump wins. A lot of people aren't going to be happy if Hillary wins. So, right. We asked the Lord to we know He's in control. We know God is sovereign, but we pray that, there can be peace after this happens, because, like I said, this is such a vital election. And Joe, when you look at the ties that Hillary has, and you look at what Trump stands for, like I said earlier, neither one of them are a perfect candidate. But, you can almost sum up this election as the constitutionalists, which would be Trump and people who are backing him because they know that he loves America, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, etc., more than Hillary does, against the Islamists. This is almost like constitutionalists versus Islamists in this election that we are partaking in.
Right, yeah. Yep, seems that way. Hey, Tony, I don't know, since I didn't tune in early, how much did you touch on the subject of Huma Abedin? Here's my concern regarding Hillary, and for your listeners who may be listening who are still considering voting for Hillary, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Huma Abedin, because no president makes decisions in isolation. I hope everybody understands that. He or she has a network of top advisors. And for President Obama, his top advisor has been Valerie Jarrett. And Valerie Jarrett has influenced President Obama significantly. Now, if Hillary Clinton wins, it's expected that Huma Abedin is going to be her top advisor, probably her chief of staff. And Huma Abedin has very troubling past connections to the Muslim Brotherhood. These came out many, many years ago. I've been following these connections for dozens of years. It's only come to light recently in the media with the discovery of Clinton's private email servers and the fact that Huma may have had access to documents and emails on those servers that she shouldn't have given her security clearance. But there are very troubling connections for Hillary Clinton and her top advisor, Huma Abedin, who seems to have been advocating on behalf of the Muslim Brotherhood for years.
Yeah, that is very important thing for people to keep in mind. I did mention earlier, and also I posted it in my Muslim Brotherhood video that I have on my Facebook page and on my Vimeo channel, that her father, being part of the Muslim World League and advancing of Sharia, for Saudi Arabia, her mother being a professor in Saudi Arabia and being part of the Muslim Sisterhood, and then her brother having many Islamist ties as well. And of course, it is possible that she could be walking away from all that and say, well, I have nothing to do with that. That's, my family, it's not me. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like these Islamist ties, the Muslim Brotherhood ties, are alive and well. And it's interesting that this new reopening of the email investigation is almost more on Huma Abedin, who has pretty much been out of the spotlight, especially after John McCain denounced, even criticizing her, and Michelle Bachmann of criticizing her. But now, all of a sudden, because it's reopening, now the FBI is the one who has the spotlight on her. So that's definitely something to keep in mind.
Right.
Now,
right. You're exactly right, Tony. And you're breaking up a little bit. And I hope the guys in the studio there can get the audio fixed. But I got most of that. But listen, like I said, I've been following Huma Abedin for years. The mainstream media has just now become aware of some of the stuff that has been talked about her for dozens of years. Let me just refer briefly back to an article that was written by Andy McCarthy back on July 25th, 2012. Now we're talking about over 4 years ago. Andy McCarthy, by the way, is the prosecuting attorney that prosecuted the first set of guys who tried to blow up the World Trade Center in 1983 when they blew up those bombs in the underground parking garage. Now, Andy McCarthy, talking about Huma Abedin's connections to the Muslim Brotherhood, says this, and I'm quoting, since Hillary Clinton's tenure began, now he's talking about she was still Secretary of State then, since Secretary Clinton's tenure began, with Huma Abedin serving as top advisor, the United States has aligned itself with the Muslim Brotherhood in myriad ways, just to name a few, and this list is by no means exhausted. Our government reversed the policy against formal contacts with the Brotherhood. Our government funded Hamas, continued funding Egypt even after the Brotherhood won the elections, dropped an investigation of Brotherhood organizations in the U.S. that were previously identified as co-conspirators in the case of the Holy Land Foundation financing of Hamas, hosted Brotherhood delegations in the United States, issued a visa to a member of the Islamic group, the Brotherhood, a designated terrorist organization, and hosted him in Washington because he is part of the Brotherhood's parliamentary coalition in Egypt, announced that Israel should go back to its indefensible 1967 borders, excluded Israel, the world's leading target of terrorism, from a counterterrorism forum in which the State Department sought to partner with Islamist governments that do not regard attacks on Israel as terrorism, and pressured Egypt's pro-American military government to surrender power to the anti-American Muslim Brotherhood parliament and president just elected by Egypt's predominantly anti-American population. Now, this was June 2012. Now, all that in light of what you just said, if Huma Abedin really has abandoned her Muslim Brotherhood ties, then why has the State Department under Hillary Clinton's management, with Huma Abedin as her top advisor, made all these concessions toward the Muslim Brotherhood? It seems to me she's not giving up those ties at all. And this is very troubling for a Clinton election.
And that is in addition to this whole thing with the email scandal thing is a totally different issue.
Right, exactly.
The email scandal is now being focused on Huma Abedin, and that is what's helping to bring out all this other information about her and the ties that she has. If you go to the muslimissue.wordpress.com, have Hillary aide Huma Abedin caught on video rant to Islamize America. So she definitely has that. If we are to believe Hillary Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, then Hillary Clinton's immigration policy is essentially to just let all Syrians into our country. So we have a lot of evidence that that is the case. Now, in the video that I did, Joe, on the Muslim Brotherhood, I'm not sure if you had a chance to see it yet, but I have a clip put out for the Center of Security Policy, and it has a video that they put together, and it has some video clips of Nahad Awad, who was I believe, the executive director of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. And this happened at a 2016, I believe, the ISNA conference. And it's a little clip of his talk. The whole talk can be found on YouTube. But he says in that talk, he's urging Muslims to register to vote. They're saying, hey, turn your mosques and Islamic centers into registration centers. They're trying to get as many Muslims voting as possible. And look at this here. VOAnews.com, more than 1 million Muslims, U.S. Muslims, now registered to vote. So what Nahad Awad suggested has definitely been taking place, because Muslims are voting, and I can almost guarantee you that the majority of Muslims are not voting for Donald Trump because of some rhetoric that was going around quite a while back about, not letting anyone into the country whatsoever, which he's backed away from. But Joe, this is something you need to check out as well. This is from creepingsharia.wordpress.com. Look for this post on November 1st. U.S. Muslim leader at Chicago conference says Islam is here to dominate. His name's Hatham Ibn Thabit. And this guy sounds like a modern-day Said Qutb. I mean, this guy would make the Muslim Brotherhood proud on this video. This guy is hardcore. I mean, you need to check this thing out, because this guy sounds just like Said Qutb. This actually happened at the Khilafah 2016 conference. That's KHILAFAH, Khilafah 2016 conference, held in Chicago on May 15th. Now, this guy says, no, Obama's not a Muslim because, he's not Muslim enough. And that sounds like the Muslim Brotherhood. And I'm telling you, you need to watch this video. Friends, you need to go to creepingsharia.wordpress.com and look up this news headline. U.S. Muslim leader Chicago conference, Islam is here to dominate. This is a hardcore video that this guy puts out. Now, Joe, this is something that I wanted to ask you about, particularly because I know that voting has started there in the great state of Texas, correct?
Yes. Yes, in fact, today was the last day of early
voting.
Voting. We've had 2 weeks of early voting. Today was the last day, but from what I understand, the turnout for early voting in this election has been phenomenal. They've never seen as large a turnout in all the history of early voting in the state of Texas as they have for the last 2 weeks here.
Wow. That is something that I wanted to ask you about. I have a few news stories here. The first one I want to ask you about, Breitbart.com, Texas county switches to paper ballots after software glitch. Chambers County election officials have executed an emergency protocol to remove all electronic voting machines available during early voting until a software update can be completed to correct problems experienced by straight ticket voters. Have you heard anything about that out there in Texas?
I haven't. I've heard little bits and pieces of some voting machine irregularities in certain counties, and I've heard people on the media, especially those supporting Trump, but not just that, but people in the media in general, saying if you feel uncomfortable with an electronic voting machine, you have every right to request a paper ballot, and people are doing that. Now, in my particular county, we actually vote by paper ballot. I cast my vote last week, and it was just a paper ballot, which is a lot less susceptible to being tampered with. So, we put it in. We mark our ballot, we put it into a blank box, and away they go, and they're counted by a computer. So,
well, that sounds like a good way to do it, because I've seen a number of news stories where people have said that they've actually chosen Trump Pence, and then when they go through all the different propositions that they can vote for and stuff. And then when they go to submit it, all of a sudden they've seen it switch to Clinton and Kane, and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, there's a problem here." And I guess
there's actually a final screen that comes up before you hit submit that's supposed to make sure you go through and check all those. And I've heard that when people are reviewing their final screen before they hit submit, they see that their Trump vote has been changed to Clinton.
Yeah. So that and we have to wonder how many times did that happen before someone finally noticed it.
Yeah, you have to wonder.
So toprightnews.com, it's starting. Massive Democratic vote fraud exposed in Florida. The state of Florida is in the hot spotlight in the 2016 election, with the Sunshine State a must-win for Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton investing tens of millions to take it away from him and secure the presidency. Just how far the Democrats will go to win, quote unquote, is being exposed, with outraged Republicans alleging massive ballot fraud against Democrats in 2 Florida counties. First, in Democratic-run Broward County, a shocking report of Democrats illegally opening tens of thousands of mail-in ballots. So we have that. Now, we have in California, we have Fox News, voter fraud. Listen to this, Joe. California man finds dozens of ballots stacked outside home.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to mention that. I read that yesterday.
Jerry Mosna was gardening outside his San Pedro, California home Saturday when he noticed something odd. 2 stacks of 2016 ballots on his mailbox. The 83 ballots, each unused, were addressed to different people, all supposedly living in his elderly neighbor's 2-bedroom apartment. I think this is spooky, Mosna said. All the different names, none we recognize, all at one address. So, oh man.
Yeah, voter fraud much?
Then listen to this one. This one is crazy. From silverdoctors.com. The fix is in. And I need to double check this one, see if there's any other updates out there. Because, I mean, look at this headline. The fix is in. NBC affiliate accidentally posts election results a week early.
Yeah, I saw
Hillary
that.
wins presidency 42% to Trump 40%. Now, if you go here, you can actually see the screenshot. WRCB TV, Decision 2016, Warren and Griffin, your local lawyers. NBC affiliate WRCB TV in Chattanooga, Tennessee has inadvertently posted election night results. The results page appears to be similar to what mainstream news networks display on election night, including presidential and congressional results, the popular vote count, electoral votes, and percentage of precincts reporting. The page, a screenshot of which has been sourced from Internet Archive site The Wayback Machine, announces Hillary Clinton as the winner. What's up with that?
Well, you know, in all fairness, it probably could have been an honest mistake, and I'm cutting the TV channel probably more slack than they deserve. But you know, maybe they were just running a test on their green screen system, and that just happened to be the slide they got up there, and there was a momentary flash on the screen where these poll results came in, and they had to take it down, and you know, it was an honest mistake. Who knows? You know, I'm being sarcastic here, of course, but. You really have to wonder, given all the rhetoric about rigging and voter fraud and dead people voting, multiple dozens of people voting at the same address that you just talked about, people voting multiple times. You know, you have to really ask the question: Is Trump really correct? Is the fix already in? Has the system already been rigged?
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, things are looking so bad for Hillary. It looks like she may not even be able to win a rigged election. Now, if she wins by a landslide, you know something is wrong, because you know how many people out there are voting for Trump because they think he's going to uphold the Constitution and Bill of Rights and the documents that our country was founded on best. As Ronald Reagan said, this is the last stand on earth. If we lose freedom here, there's nowhere else to turn to. But, Joe, it's been a blessing to have you on the show. It's been great to see you again, brother. I know you're going to be on more shows in the future. And just something I want to run past you real quick and past our audience right before we take a short commercial break. This headline from voanews.com, gun rights divide U.S. swing states. Now, Joe can tell you, especially in his great state of Texas, that a lot of people are voting Trump simply to make sure that they keep their Second Amendment. And a lot of people throughout the U.S. are voting Trump to keep that Second Amendment as well. So, Joe, it's been great to have you here. And friends, it's been great to have you tuned in. And we will see you in just a few minutes when we come back with our second Skype guest for the show. Islam and the News world premiere happening today, November 4th. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
Get ready for a new weekly show and series coming this November. One of the new shows that we will have is an English prayer show with Pastor Earl Thurner, and Asad Faraj. Tune in Thursday, November 10th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for more information, call the numbers at your screen or visit our website at www.trinitychannel.com. ABN and Trinity Channel is increasing exponentially both in the number of apologists and the quality of the shows, in terms of the debates and the launching of the new shows that involve politics, Islam, science and creation, prayer, and world religions and heresies. We need your help in supporting this unique channel. The only way for ABN and Trinity Channel to continue our mission in spreading the Word of God and exposing false religions globally and internationally is with your help and support. To send your support and donations, please call the numbers at your screen or visit our website at trinitychannel.com.
ABN and the Trinity Channel run several programs that have took the world by storm. These shows include War Without Weapons, The Cross and the Crescent, Hard Questions for Shiite Muslims, our Apologetics Marathons, Light and Darkness, Islam and the News, and Colliding Worldviews with Tony Groulet. To run these shows, we need your donations to keep us on air. To donate, call the numbers on your screen or visit our websites at trinitychannel.com and avnsat.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the world premiere of Islam and the News, a new weekly show that is happening every single Friday right here on trinitychannel.com. Now, you could be watching live from anywhere in the world through high-speed internet, or you may be watching through satellite in the Middle East, North Africa, Australia, New Zealand, or other countries. This is going to multiple continents. And folks, if you are hearing this information that has been presented in the last hour, then you may be thinking, hey, this is a new great news source to be listening to, because I don't have, or you may be thinking, I don't have access to a lot of internet news sites or just websites in general. Perhaps you live in a country where the URLs are blocked or something like that. So I'm going to be giving you news every week from a number of different news sources. And like I said, we may have to start up a new fund just for paper and ink if I continue to print all this stuff out. But of course, this first episode of Islam in the News is focused on the 2016 presidential election. And we have now with us our second Skype guest on the show. If you can hear me just fine, which I'm hoping you can, we have Brother Matt Slick. Can you hear me okay, Matt?
Yeah, Tony, I do. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. It's our pleasure, and it's a blessing to have you on once again. We've done a number of shows in the past, and this is I was telling our audience, this is a brand new weekly show, Islam and the News. So you're going to find headlines here that may be hard to find wherever you happen to live in the world. Now, Matt, I know you were very busy right before you got on. You have a show of your own. And folks, if you have never heard of Matt or been to his website, please check out carm.org, where he has been working for a number of years. And he has job security because of all the cults that are around the world and all of the bad theology and bad philosophy that's out there. So he is an ordained minister, so we can call him Reverend Slick. And it's great to have him back on the show once again for Islam and the News. Now, Matt, I have covered a number of news headlines in the last hour. And now it's a blessing to have you on here for the last half hour. I want to move into a couple of other topics here, because we've talked about Trump and Hillary and how neither one of them are perfect candidates, how a lot of people wish they could have two other people. I said earlier, hey, I'm still waiting for an election where I can vote for the greater of two goods, but I don't think that's going to happen in the fallen world.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think about Hillary versus Trump getting in with the whole Syrian refugee crisis that we see going on right now?
Well, I don't know what you've covered because I didn't do my show, but we know that Hillary wants open borders. What she wants to do is have the borders be wide open so that anybody can come right in. ISIS has already bragged that it's got a lot of people in ISIS infiltrating the people who are coming into the United States and other countries. So just that mere fact that ISIS is so bent on evil and hatred and destruction and death and killing, you would think that a politician who's swearing to uphold the Constitution and defend our country would not want to destroy our country by opening the borders up. Now, I've got a friend who's a retired Border Patrol agent, believe it or not, and he was telling me some stuff that's going on, and it's bad. The government actually gets in the way a lot of times of them enforcing the laws that are already there. If we get someone like Hillary in, it's going to be even worse. And ISIS will come into America. We're going to be all the more in trouble. So it's a horrible thing. She's horrible.
Now, Matt, I don't know if you heard, I covered earlier, there's actually a news story out that just came out, I believe it was this morning, saying that there are some intelligence that is saying that there could be Al-Qaeda attacks on Monday, which seems to be a pretty perfect timing in regards to the election that's happening on Tuesday. But I also talked about a news story where Border Patrol agents are saying that right now people are flooding the border because they're doing it pre-election because they don't know what's going to happen post-election in regards to that. So they have their work cut out for them. Now, Matt, this is a news story that is going to give you some righteous anger. This is from csnews.com. 13,210 Syrian refugees so far in 2016, up 675% from 2015. 99.1% are Muslims. Now, listen to these numbers. Of those 13,100, 99.1% are Muslim. Or of those, 13,100 are Muslims. 12,966 are Sunnis, who follow the Quran and the Sunnah, the Hadith, the example of Muhammad. 24 of them, 24 are Shia, and 110 other Muslims. And listen to this. Out of 13,210 refugees, 77 are Christians.
I just lost. Okay, there we go. Got your sound back. Good.
So, do you hear those numbers? 13,000.
Yeah, 77 are Christians. Yeah, I got that. I heard that.
Yeah, 77.
Did you also hear? Did you also hear when some of the refugees were on boats and they're coming, to land, that the Christians that had joined them on the boats had been thrown overboard by the Muslims, killed?
Yeah, we had a show. It was during the last Apologetics marathon. And we had Annie Cyrus from the Glazov gang, because she's from Iran, and she was talking about, the situation there and how, and we have to wonder in general, okay, why are such a large percentage Muslims? And we know there's a lot of Christians there. Now, are they being held back purposely? Are they being put in prison, and then they're allowing the Muslim refugees to come? And the thing is, too, this all started when that little boy unfortunately wound up on the beach. And this was, I believe, a year ago or so. Shortly later, it turned out that story had a bunch of holes in it. And that is a story that brought about this whole initial Syrian refugee crisis. And now we hear of all these thousands and thousands of refugees coming. But, Matt, at least me personally, 99% of the pictures that I see, I don't even see one woman or female child. What do you say now?
Well, obviously we're being invaded. I mean, that's what it is. Islam is not a peaceful religion, as you and I both know. And we know that it wants to destroy America. It's stated that. Different Muslims in different countries have political leaders. We know that's the case. And I'm appalled by we are being sold down the river. And I'm going to tell you something. We Christians need to do something. We Christians need to stand up. And on my radio show, I've been talking lately. I got an idea. I'd like to see Franklin Graham rise to the political arena and start saying that what we Christians need to do. And I have this idea, like June 1st next year, in every state, every capital, if your name starts with an A on January 1st, you show up at the Capitol, and you're there all day with papers, handout papers of what we want. Get our Constitution back, close those borders, get rid of these Syrians in here who we know are Muslims aimed at trying to destroy our country. We need to do something. If Christians would do this in every single state, let people start with the letter A, last name A on first day, then B on the second day, and C. We do this, it would make national headlines. we need, as Christians, to start doing something. And that's just an idea. I mean, I'm nobody, but for example, Graham, he could do it. Franklin Graham could do it. We Christians have got to. We can complain. We can say Hillary's bad. We can say Trump is bad. We can say the Assyrians are bad, and it's all bad. But what we got to do is do something about it, and we got to start praying, and we got to start asking God to move us, and we got to get our country back, because we're going to lose our country, and Islam is going to be one of the ways that it's going to be destroyed, because they're going to get in here, and on a designated day or whatever they're going to do, they're going to start killing and maiming and doing more what they've already been doing all over the world and here. It's going to happen more and more. We Christians are going to stand up. We got to do something.
ABN and Trinity Channel is increasing exponentially both in the number of apologists and the quality of the shows, in terms of the debates and the launching of the new shows that involve politics, Islam, science and creation, prayer, and world religions and heresies. We need your help in supporting this unique channel. The only way for ABN and Trinity Channel to continue our mission in spreading the Word of God and exposing false religions globally and internationally is with your help and support. To send your support and donations, please call the numbers at your screen or visit our website at trinitychannel.com.
Okay, we apologize for that technical difficulty. We are back now, and hopefully everything will run smoothly from here to the rest of the show. Matt, do we still have you on the line?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Sorry about that technical difficulty. Like I said, between now and next Thursday, we have quite a few hours to fix these technical difficulties that are going on. We want to fix the visual, we want to fix the audio, and have it be even a better, more smooth running show for the second episode of Islam and the News. Now, Matt, we were talking about the refugee crisis. Obviously, there are a lot of people in need, and we as Christians do need to be Christ-like towards them. Like I've said to many Christians, who's going to influence who? If you're a Christian, you need to be out there sharing the gospel with these refugees. You need to be sharing the gospel with everybody, and everybody includes Muslims. So the gospel is the power of God to God's salvation. That's what people need to hear. But, I mean, the shows I've done on the UK with Tommy Robinson, the Islamization of the United Kingdom and enemy of the state, we talked about what has happened to Europe. And I've said before, we as Americans need to look to the UK and much of Europe, because we either have to learn from their mistakes or follow in their footsteps. Now, I have 3 news stories here. They're all on my Facebook page, but I have them printed out. Sweden on the brink. Police force pushed to breaking point by violence amid migrant influx. We have Germany. We are losing control of the streets. Merkel's Germany descends into lawlessness. And war on the streets of Paris, armed migrants fighting running battles in the French capital. All 3 of these news stories can be found at express.co.uk. But Matt, I mean, that lets us know what we are in store for, potentially, if we have the people with the same worldview as those people come here to America.
Absolutely. If you go to my website, carm.org, you can look up Islamic statistics on violence, rape, terror, Sharia, ISIS, and the whole bit. And I document, and the sources are there, what's happening. And you're right. Sweden is now, I've heard recently, the rape capital of Europe because Muslims are doing this. They're the ones who teach that it's okay to rape. They're the ones who teach it's okay to kill unbelievers. They are violent. It's an evil. It's a demonic religion. It is from Satan. It is not godly. John 10:10. Jesus says that the enemy, Satan, goes around seeking who can devour. The thief comes to destroy and to kill. This is exactly what Islam is doing. Everywhere it goes, it leaves bodies. It leaves people's homes wrecked. It's a horrible thing. And the statistics are clearly there. And yet our government is inviting this situation, inviting people in who advocate that kind of a thing. Now, you're right. We should be praying for them. We should get the gospel out to them. They need it. And we should welcome people into our country in a legal way. But we need to be smart. You can't just have Syrian refugees come in without them being super vetted. You've got to do that. I'm just dismayed at the lack of wisdom, the lack of judgment in our government. To me, it's just incredible what's happening. What's happening in Europe is going to happen here in America, and it's going to be even more violent because Americans, unfortunately, Americans are they're going to fight back, and this is what's going to happen. They're going to fight back. They're going to say enough of this. So we got some problems coming.
Well, I mean, you would think of it, okay, even if, say, every refugee who came here didn't have the same worldview didn't have the same Islamic worldview, say they came here thinking, hey, we just want freedom, and everybody, wanted freedom, that would be great. But the thing is that even from a financial standpoint, can America handle thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are all of a sudden injected into the financial system? So we have to look at this from a financial perspective as well as the perspective of what kind of worldview are they bringing here with us? Or if they are not going to assimilate, if they're just going to try to bring Sharia here like the Muslim Brotherhood does, and like classical Islamic theology wants, is for the whole world to be under Sharia. Well, this is a whole lot of people with that worldview to be brought here at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, Matt, I mean, like I said, we have strengths and weaknesses with Hillary and Trump, but we do know that Trump has been attacked by a lot of people because he cannot be bought, and a lot of people are afraid of him getting in. A lot of racist type stuff have come in. I actually have like 5 news headlines here, and it's in a timeline because you may have heard some of this, you may have not, and our viewers, of course, as well. Obama says Donald Trump would tolerate Klan if elected president. President Barack Obama wants people in North Carolina to vote for Hillary Clinton, so he's warning them that Donald Trump would tolerate the support of the Ku Klux Klan if he's elected president. That's from Breitbart.com. Now, if teleservetv.net, if Trump were black, goes viral. Hashtag if Trump were black goes viral. Twitter exposes double standards. Racism has been a hot topic this election season, but Trump's not the only racist. He only gets away with it because he's white. Now, some people might say, well, yeah, that's true. He's racist. And look right here. This just came out, I believe, a day or so ago from theatlantic.com. A black church burned in the name of Trump. Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church in Greenville, Mississippi was reportedly set on fire and spray painted with the words, "Vote Trump," on Tuesday night. Now, people are thinking, okay, well, even if Trump is not racist, it certainly seems like some of his supporters are, but I don't know how many people heard this news headline, just came out. Donald Trump supporters cover damage costs for black church, burnt down by someone who spray painted "Vote Trump" on the side of the burnt down building. This just came out yesterday from Regated.com. So if you heard about that news story that, Trump is racist, his supporters are racist, they burned a church, listen to this. Trump supporters raised money to fix the church. And in addition to that, from thegatewaypundit.com, we have Trump on track to win more black votes than any GOP candidate since 1960. So, despite what some of the lamestream media wants you to believe, we have a whole lot of African Americans voting for Trump because they see through a lot of the lies they see and know that he supports the Constitution and Bill of Rights more than Hillary does. What do you have to say about that, Matt?
Hey, it's accurate. In fact, when you were saying that stuff, I was thinking, okay, the Trump supporters raise money to rebuild a church and help people out. And what do the Hillary supporters do? They steal signs and they beat people up. There's quite a contrast. We're really polarized here in America because the leftist propaganda that's in the media is being bought by the youth who don't have enough experience or critical thinking faculties to really see the facts. And, you're reading headlines is a good thing, showing that there are 2 sides to every story. What we need to do is do our homework. We need to be able to do research in multiple sources to find out what the facts are. I don't trust the news media very much. I know what it's done. I know how it's lied. I have firsthand information about absolutely fabricated false stories to to cause certain ideas to be promoted in America. I know this has happened, but we have got to be, as Christians. Look, I know we're almost out of time, but what we have to do as Christians, what do we do about all of this stuff? Well, we need to get out there and we need to vote, but we need to be praying for our leaders. And to be quite honest, I've not prayed for my leaders enough. I'm so angry with them that I don't want to pray for them, and that's just not a good attitude for me to have. And it's a bad attitude because it means that I'm not trusting God to be in sovereign control. Now, personally, I'm of the opinion that America is in such bad shape. We promote pornography, we promote drug abuse, adultery, abortion, all kinds of bad causes, that we are now getting the judgment from God, and the judgment of God is being manifested in our debt, in our lack of integrity, and in the leaders that we're getting. So what can we Christians do? You better start praying. Start praying that God will take this country back and that it will become a beacon once again for the true gospel. We Christians have got to stand and be united. That's what we've got to do. We have to do that.
Amen. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I have with me right here, I guess these are probably going to be out of date soon, but these are Hillary Trump caricature gospel tracts. They have the $1 million question on the back, and that is, will you go to heaven when you die? These tracts are available, and a lot of other great tracts are available from livingwaters.com, because they're gospel tracts. And you can give these out to people. You can leave them where people will find them. But as interesting as this one is, with Trump and Hillary on the front, the main message here is the gospel. And just as Matt had said, the gospel is what people need to hear. The gospel is what we need to stay focused on. The gospel is what we need to be sharing with Muslims, immigrants, as well as refugees. And the gospel is what we need to be sharing with all people, regardless of where we are located. As the great evangelist Mark Cahill said, to be a missionary, you don't have to cross the sea, you just have to see the cross. When you go across your street, when you leave your house, you're in a mission field. When you leave your church, you're in a mission field. You are a missionary wherever you are. If you are a Christian, you are called to share the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, and you're called to defend the historic Christian faith. So, thank you, Matt, for being on the show. And we want to thank Joe Carey from RadicalTruth.net. Again, check out Matt's website at carm.org. And thank you so much for joining us for this world premiere episode of Islam and the News. Thankfully, we only had a few technical difficulties, a little bit with sound, a little bit with video, but we have 6 days to straighten that out. So it will get better. And also, friends, make sure you prayerfully vote your conscience on Election Day. We want to encourage you to vote, and ask yourself the question, between Hillary and Trump, who loves America more? Who supports the Constitution? Who supports the Bill of Rights? If you look to Hillary, she was a researcher of Saul Alinsky. If you've never read this book, Rules for Radicals, this is the same kind of information that Obama studied when he was in college, and Hillary studied Saul Alinsky's work even more. This is where the term community organizer came from. So as Matt said, do your research. This book was published in 1961. Look on the back here. Funny, philosophical brief, a primer for hellraisers. That was the quote from the Los Angeles Times. This country's leading hellraiser has not set down some of the rules of the game. No one has had more experience or has more successful at it than Alinsky. Saul Alinsky is who Saul Alinsky is who Obama studied. Saul Alinsky is who Hillary has studied. So Hillary is going to be an extension of Obama 2.0. So we can't tell you who to vote for, but we do want you to make an informed decision. So please rewatch the show, share it with other people. Also check out carm.org, check out radicaltruth.net, and let's just all be in prayer that the Lord's will takes place next week, that there isn't chaos after the election. We all pray that Jesus would come back quickly based on all the news headlines that we are seeing. But thank you for joining us for Islam and the News, the very first episode. Please join us next Friday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time or 5:30 p.m. Eastern for episode 2 of Islam and the News. Until then, God bless you and God bless America.